Hello everyone, welcome to this environmental studies. This is a mandatory course irrespective of which branch you belong to, whether mechanical, electrical, computer science, biotechnology, doesn't matter. This is a mandatory course which you need to take. My name is Dr. Shyamaprasad S and I'll be handling few of the topics connected to environmental science. In the unit 1, you will be looking into what environment is, what are the different components of it, and through this lecture you will be able to understand the meaning of the word environment and its significance, the local and world challenges with respect to environment, the components of environment, and layers of earth are some of the aspects which we'll be looking into. First and foremost, we will look into what an environment is. The term environment is derived from a French word environner, which means surrounding. So basically, this refers to an aggregate of all the conditions that affect the existence, growth, and welfare of an organism or a group of organisms. Now, if you think about our surroundings, you are not the only one person who is living on this earth. It's basically a group of human beings, a large group of human beings, then a large sum of plants, animals, and bacteria, viruses which inhabit surrounding you along with you. So, if you want to define the environmental science, it simply is the interdisciplinary study of humanity's relationship with other organisms and the non living physical environment. In the sense, the way you interact with other organisms and the way you interact with the non-living physical entities, and also it is the total outcome of these two interactions, the way you interact with other organisms, the way you interact with the physical environment, both of them put together, it will give rise to your environmental science. And I came across this interesting statement, that is regarding environment, that is, it is not given to you by your parents, but it is loaned to you by your children. It looks like a confusing statement initially, but if you give a thought on it, it is absolutely meaningful. In the sense, it is never given to you by your parents. In Kannada, what we say, appana asti, it's not like that, but it is loaned to you by your children. When I say the word loan, it means to say that you need to return it to the lender who has given it to you. And when you are giving it to the person back, you need to pay the interest. You need to pay the premium and you need to pay the interest. So when you are passing on the environment to the next generation, you need to maintain it in a healthy manner. You need to improve upon the existing one. But unfortunately, what is happening now is it is completely reverse. Though it looks a beautiful statement, but I think in reality, this is not happening. Now, when I said it is not happening, that means to say that environmental challenges, if we think of local and global scenario, there are a huge list of challenges with respect to environment. One is overpopulation. If you look at the global population, it is exploding. It is not running, it is exploding. Now, we have this planet Earth for our existence and for our living. But that means to say that it's a fixed volume and fixed surface area. But because of the population being exploding, we need to find place to live in. For that, what we do, we expand our living area as landfills, or it can also be as a result of throwing the waste and making or expanding the land. Then ruinous agricultural policies, this is another thing which can be harmful to the environment. Using of excessive pesticides, using chemicals for increased yield. So there can be certain policies which can hamper the environment in a negative way. Then high amount of exhaust gases as a means of transportation, as a means of so-called development, we are pumping in a voluminous amount of exhaust gases into the surroundings, which would affect ultimately us. Then the degradation of land and soil erosion as a result of reckless usage of chemicals, be it in the form of pesticides or fertilizers. We are degrading the quality of the land, and also as a result of deforestation, land and soil erosion is taking place in an exhaustive manner. And also as a result of global warming, for example, the sea level is rising, and it is gradually engulfing our boundaries. That means to say that more and more of land is getting into water as a result of global warming. Deforestation, I think I don't have to talk much on deforestation, because all of us are aware as how deforestation is affecting us at local level and globally with respect to environment. Every time or every year when the rainfall is going down, that is the time we remember, oh, we are cutting trees. Or it's on the environmental day, we will remember, oh, we need to plant trees, so that we will sustain, maintain our forests. Then, seventh point is faulty utilization of water resources. We are a very bad managers of water. To quote a simple example, anytime you get into your restrooms, you will find many places taps will be kept open. That is, water taps are kept open. That is a simple micro example I'm giving. Probably if you magnify, enlarge it at a global level, we are managing the water resources in a very poor manner. Then the eighth point, environmental problems from faulty mining practices, industrial and atmospheric pollutions. These are some of the challenges which we are facing locally as well as globally. And all these problems can contribute to the health of the environment and ultimately the health of human beings. Now let's look into the components of environment. What is an environment made up of? If you look at the different categories, or the components, first is a physical component of environment, then the biological component of environment, thirdly, the cultural component. The physical component of environment is atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere. We will come to that later on. And if you think about the biological factors, it is abiotic and biotic factors. In the biotic factors, it is the producer, consumer, and decomposer. Biotic factor is the one which composes of living entities. Abiotic is the one which composes of non-living entities. Last one is the cultural, where your society, economy, and politics comes into picture. Now, human beings exist within the environment. This fact nobody can deny. But for our existence, the environment is necessary and we are a part of the nature. That means to say that our survival, it depends on a healthy and functioning planet. I'm very sure that during this corona pandemic, we have understood the lessons from nature in a harsh way, correct? When everything is fine, things were okay, but probably if somebody had told you about a month, I mean about a year ago, that everything will come to a standstill, almost a standstill, you would have laughed at that person. But the nature has shown us exactly that. Then, the fundamental insights of environmental science is that we are a part of the natural world. We cannot deny the fact, because everything on earth we are dependent on, and our interaction with its other parts matter to a great deal. In the sense, how do we interact with biotic and abiotic factors and various components of the environment is the one which determines how healthily we can live. Now let's look into the humans and the world around us. The humans depend completely on the environment for our survival. What do we mean by that? For enriched and longer lives, we depend on environment. For the increased wealth, we again depend on environment. For our health, we are dependent on environment. For mobility, we are dependent on environment. Even for our leisure time, we are dependent on environment. Go to a nice place, cool and calm place, beautiful place. Yes, that's a part of it. But as a result of all the above points, whether it is longer life, increased wealth, health, mobility, or leisure time, we are simply destroying and degrading our nature in the form of pollution, erosions, and resultant species extinction. Because of pollution, land erosion, the species come to such a state that no more they can survive, they will perish. That is what is the extinction of species. And environmental challenges threaten the long term health and survival. As a result of pollution, your very existence can be challenged in the form of ill health, and as a consequence of which your survival will be at stake. So, the environmental science is the study of how the natural world works, how the environment affects humans, and vice versa. So, basically, the environmental science is nothing but the understanding of the working of the nature and how human intervention affects the environment and the vice versa part of it. Look at the last point here. It makes you to think, and it sounds funny also. What it says is, with the environmental problems comes the opportunities for solution. In the sense, with more and more environmental problems and challenges happening, you get more opportunities for solution. It's something like it's really funny because you are causing the problem to the environment and you claim that you have more opportunities for solution. I don't know what to say for in this line. So the environmental science is the study of interaction of humans with the natural environment. The environment includes all the conditions which surrounds us in the form of climate, air and water quality, soil and land forms, the presence of other living beings. Environment, the total of our surroundings, all the things around us with which we interact. First one is living beings. We interact with animals, we interact with plants, forests, fungi, microbes, anything we interact. Non living things, continents, oceans, clouds, soil, rocks, we have interaction. Our own built environment, buildings, human created living centers. One of the example we can give is of that of Palm Island in Dubai is a human built environment. Then the social relationship and institutions. So all these are the part of our surroundings. Yeah. The environment can be divided into following components, that is biotic, that is the living components, and abiotic or non-living components. The biotic factors or the biotic components are living organisms, plants, animals, and microbes. All these come under the biotic factors. Whereas abiotic or abiotic factors are water, soil, minerals, gases, temperature, humidity, wind, nutrients, and other elements come under the abiotic factors. Now, if you look at the components of environment, it can be classified into various physical components such as atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere. All these are the components of the environment. Now, what are they? On your left hand side, you have this. Let me pull out the pointer. Yes. So on the left hand side top, you have the biosphere. So biosphere is nothing but the living matter on the earth, including all the plants and animal life on the earth. So we are aware of how important the biosphere is because every living entity is present in this biosphere. Then you have this atmosphere. This is a very thin and fragile layer of gases that surrounds the earth. That's the atmosphere of us. Then you have on the right hand side top the hydrosphere. This is the water on the surface of the earth in the form of oceans, rivers, lakes, rain, mist, snow, ice, anything would fall under this category. Last one is the lithosphere. So this is the earth's crust, including landforms and rocks and soils would come under the lithosphere. Now, if you look at the atmosphere can be divided into several layers based on the height. First one is the troposphere. This is the and your immediate surrounding to the surface of the earth that would stretch 0 to about 18 kilometers away from the earth's surface, and the temperature in this area ranges between 15 to minus 56.5 degrees Celsius. This is an average range. Immediately followed by the troposphere is the stratosphere, which extends from about 11 to 50 kilometers, and the temperature would range from minus 56.5 to minus 2.5 degrees Celsius. Above that will be the mesosphere, that ranges from about 40 to 50 kilometer up until about 90 kilometers, where the temperature would be in the range of minus 2.5 to minus 86.5 degrees Celsius, after which comes your thermosphere. Here the temperature can last range between minus 86.5 degrees Celsius to 1200 degrees Celsius, and this would be above 90 to about 800 kilometers, in that range. Then finally you have the exosphere, where this space stations and other satellites will be orbiting the earth, where the temperature would be as high as 1200 degrees Celsius, and the distance would be about 800 to 3000 kilometers above the earth surface. Now, we talked about the water and its significance in the hydrosphere. First and foremost factor, the water never leaves the earth. Water will be present on the earth. It gets cycled into various different formats and comes back to earth. So basically it never leaves the earth. And water get constantly cycled through the atmosphere, ocean and land. So wherever the water can be present, whether it is in the atmosphere, whether it is in ocean or land, river, pond, anything, it gets basically cycled. And this process is termed as the water cycle or hydrological cycle. And the cycling of water is very essential for the existence of life on earth. Just imagine, every water content from the earth gets evaporated and it gets stuck on the in the sky. Impossible for you to live, correct? Or if every water is there on the earth is restricted only to the ocean, then also it is not possible for the normal survival of life on earth. So basically this particular animation gives you the complete water cycle. Now let's look at what are the components of it and how it happens. First process is the evaporation. So the water from the various different water bodies, as a result of sun, gets evaporated, get condensed, the condensation thickens, the thickened clouds will precipitate, that flows into the onto the surface, into the surface and into the ocean. That's the first level. The second aspect is the transpiration. This is something like we human beings sweating. In the sense, this happens in the case of plants. So plants sweat, that is in the form of transpiration, and that water content will again evaporate, condense, the condensation thicken, clouds are formed, which precipitate in the form of rain. So this basically is the process of water cycle, and the happening of water cycle is a very very essential factor, a phenomena which should take place for the normal life to exist on earth. I hope the components what we studied till now is you can follow it easily, and thank you. And any questions or any issues with this, you can contact me, because you have my email ID at the first on the first slide. You can either contact me at that email or to my phone number. Thank you very much.